Hey there, this is Becky Moore from PHOTOPLAY Paper. I'm so glad to be with you today. Our newest holiday release of Say It With Stamps has shipped to your favorite retailer. For a great look at the entire collection, be sure to check out Amy Sonneman's unboxing videos. Amy will take you through a video tour of more than 50 new products for Halloween, Fall and Thanksgiving, and Christmas and Winter. I've added links to the description box below. In this video, I'm going to show you some tips and techniques to try with our newest holiday products. But before I do, I want to give you a quick peek at some of the new products I'll be using today. The one thing I'm most excited about in this release is the introduction of the new mini slim card size. For comparison, here's the traditional A2 size that we all know and love. Here's the slim card size that is trending right now. And here's the new mini slim card size. It's 3.5 by 6 1/4, and I love that it's taller and a bit more narrow than the A2, but doesn't have as large a canvas as the slim size. Here are just a few of the new die sets for the mini slim. We have some nested dies, brackets and tags, a notebook die with banners, a window die, and border dies. We have designed 4 die sets for the slim size too. We have nested dies, we have 2 styles of window dies, and we have a speech bubble with banners. We have added 6 new word prompts to our popular set of word stamps and dies. We have 2 for Halloween, 2 for Thanksgiving and Fall, and 2 for Christmas. Like our other sets, each one has a prompt word. In this case, it has 2 words. And it is filled with sentiments that work in tandem with those words. The phrases can go in front of the word, behind the word, or in combination of both. Here are just a few examples. As you can see, there is a lot of variety in the phrases, so you can mix and match the sentiments from all different stamps. Here are the 9 new designer stamp sets in this collection. I'll talk more about each set as I use them throughout the video, but I wanted to point out that we've created 4 stamp sets that are designed to fit the mini slim and slim card size. These 2 stamps fit the mini slim, and these 2 stamps fit the slim card. And all of these stamps come with coordinating dies. Something new we've added to the Say It With Stamps series are stencils in both single layer and 2-layer sets. This is a peek at the 8 new sets, but I will have a separate video featuring tips and ideas for using these stencils. Now that you've seen a preview of our holiday release, let's have some fun. Stamps that have matching dies are great for people like me who don't like to fussy cut images. To be honest, I'm just not very good at it. But coordinating dies can do so much more than just cut out the shape of a stamped image. For example, you can die cut multiples from one die and stack them up for a 3D faux chipboard effect. I love this look because you get all the dimension without all the bulk. Here's another way I like to use coordinating dies. After stamping and coloring an image, I cut it out using the matching die. Then I use that same die and cut the shape from a contrasting color of paper. In this example, I used glitter paper. I place a pop dot on the back of the stamped image and glue it to the matching die cut shape. It creates a really cool shadow effect, and if you use glitter cardstock, it adds a lot of sparkle and shine to your cards. I really like top folding cards, but they are a challenge to make in the new slim and mini slim sizes. Since you can't make a top folding card base from a single sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, I have a fun solution. To make this card, I chose the bracket die and I die cut it from a piece of green cardstock. I trimmed 1/4 inch off the left and right edges, and I scored down 1/2 inch from the top. I applied adhesive to the back of that flap. I then trimmed a second piece of cardstock 3 1/4 by 6. This will be the base of my top folding card. Lay the bracket piece on top of the base and line it up with the top edge and the score line. When you're happy with the position, fold the flap over and press firmly to secure. Now you've created a top folding card for a mini slim. For this next card, I die cut the top flap from the speech bubble die. I scored 1/2 inch down from the top, and then I chose the Merry word die and I die cut it 5 times down the front of the flap. I die cut the speech bubble again upside down and trimmed off the top, and I stamped a sentiment on the inside. Then I die cut the shadow of the word Merry out of green glitter cardstock and glued it to the back. So when it's closed, the middle Merry word covers my sentiment. I think there are endless possibilities for making top folding cards in this style. You could also make side folding cards the same way. This is one of my favorite fall stamps from this series. You stamp the solid leaf and let it dry. Then you come back in with one of the vein patterns and stamp it in a contrasting color. While they are marked on the stamp sheet as leaf A and then vein A, for an eclectic look, you can mix up all the veins on the different leaves. For this video, I'd like to focus on the dies. There is something about felt and fall that just go hand in hand, so I knew I wanted to use felt on this next card example. I chose one leaf shape and I die cut it out of several colors of felt. I arranged them horizontally across this cream base, rotating every other one upside down. I came in with a paper piercer and pierced holes down the center of each leaf, then did a quick back stitch using white thread. I die cut the leaf one more time from pattern paper and stamped my sentiment on it. I then glued that piece to one of the existing leaves. The great thing about felt is that it gives you dimension without a lot of bulk. The felt easily compresses while going through the mail, but springs back to life when the card is opened. This is one of the 2 layered stamps in this series. It's a 3-part stamp that makes this beautiful holiday ornament. For reference, on the back of the packaging, you'll see a legend that will tell you where to place each of the 3 layers. I thought this design would make a great peekaboo card. For my example, I used red and green ink for the first 2 layers, then stamped the 3rd layer with Versamark and gold embossing powder. To make a peekaboo, stamp your image and then decide where you want the image to be cut and where you want it to remain in place. For this particular shape, I know I want the bottom of the ornament to cut out to create the peekaboo flap. So I'm going to draw a light pencil line right below the ornament holder. Then line up my die. And tape that in place. The success of a peekaboo card is all about how you layer it together in your sandwich. In this case, I know the bottom of the die I want cut and the top I want to remain intact. So I put it on my cutting plate and I line up the top plate right on that pencil line and then run this through my die cutting machine. Okay, you're going to want to remove your low-tack tape and the die. And before you fold it, go ahead and erase your pencil lines. Then gently pull up on the portion that was die cut and give it a finger crease, and that will create your peekaboo flap. Behind it, I backed it with a piece of red cardstock where I had stamped my sentiment with gold embossing powder, and then I layered it onto a piece of thin craft foam and glued it to the base of my card. One of the things I like most about our word stamps and dies is that they are interchangeable. The die word is the exact same size as the stamp word, so mixing and matching is super easy. With the word stamp and matching die set, you can create a lot of interesting looks on your card. Here's just one example. I stamped the trick or treat phrase down the entire length of the purple cardstock using a darker purple ink. This created a really nice tone-on-tone effect. I smushed some Versamark onto a piece of cardstock and I heat embossed it with silver embossing foil. And then I die cut the same phrase, trick or treat, from the matching die. What's nice is because they are the same size, when I went to glue these onto the card, I already had a stamped image underneath, so my alignment was perfect. Now I could have just stamped an embossed trick or treat directly onto the card, but when you want to work with some dimensional pieces, like this one here, it's really nice to have the stamped image to line up to. I'd like to talk a little bit about our 3 nested frame sets. There's one for the slim and 2 sets for the mini slim size. When you first open the package, you'll see that they are all connected together. Go ahead and snip each pairing apart using wire snippers. So if you look closely, you'll see there's the scallop die, and then there's an interior die right here. If I were to cut this die just like it is, this is what I would get. A frame with the inside opened up and a second piece that it popped out of. Now if you were to snip here and here to separate these 2 pieces and you die cut it, you would get a scallop rectangle, and from the second die you would get a straight-edged rectangle. So essentially it's a 2-in-1 die frame. The same holds true for the other 2 sets as well. For this example, I used the mini scallop frame with the inside rectangle in place. If you've snipped the 2 pieces apart, they are very easy to layer back together and hold in place with low-tack tape. To create this card, start out with a rectangle the same size as the card front. Create a faded ink background and speckle it with white gouache paint. After it's dry, line up the smaller scallop frame in the center. Tape it in place and run that through your die cut machine. After you've die cut it, this is what you'll have: an outer frame, the inside scallop frame, and the interior rectangle. With that same scallop frame, go ahead and die cut 3 more frames out of white cardstock. We are going to layer and glue these together to create a 3D frame. Just little dabs of glue all the way around the frame. press it in place. You can kind of run your fingers around the edges, and while that glue is still wet, you can make any adjustments. And you'll go ahead and do that with the next 2 layers. And the last layer will be the colored piece that came out of the very first die cut you made. Okay, you're going to want to repeat that exact same process for the words Merry and Christmas, and you'll be cutting those out of the center of that most interior rectangle. I found it easier to start with the Christmas word first. Take that in place and die cut it. Okay, I finished assembling the word Merry and Christmas. All those layers are glued together, and now it's time to assemble the card. I glued the outermost frame to my card base. Next to go in will be the scallop frame, and then the interior piece will fit right inside that. I finished off the card with a colored little mouse from Not a Creature Was Stirring. I added a few sparkly sequins, and then I ran a Wink of Stella brush over the tops of the letters and the little mouse's hat. This is the second layered stamp set in this collection. Just like the ornament stamp, there is a legend on the back of the packaging that will show you where to place each of the 3 layers. When you stamp them up in 3 different colors, you will get this beautiful fall wreath. When you align your die to cut the wreath out, keep the 2 pieces taped together and die cut 3 more wreaths from a coordinating color of cardstock. That way you can stack and glue them all together to get this little bit of dimension on the wreath. For even more dimension, there are 3 little leaves in the stamp set. You can stamp those out, die cut them, and put a pop dot on the back. And then attach them to the wreath like I did here. This is the thankful word, and it says I'm thankful. Sorry, it says thankful for a friend like you. These are the mini slim border dies, and recently when I was using them, it reminded me of a process I've been doing for a couple of years that I wanted to share with you. Every time I use border dies or a border punch or any kind of border, I always cut a couple extra from whatever papers I'm using at that time for that particular project. I do the same thing with word dies. Every time I use a word die, I'll grab a couple scraps of cardstock and I'll cut a couple more words, and I throw them into these jars. The reason I do this is because, like many of you, there are times I need a card in a pinch. A quick thank you for something someone did for me, or a birthday that I almost forgot. This is a process that is going to save you. For this card right here, I had some border scraps left over from a Christmas cheer project I did recently. So of course I saved them, and I cut the joy word a few times and I saved it. And I was able to throw this card together in about 5 minutes. I just took these border strips, I trimmed them down a little shorter, I laid them out across the card, glued them down, threw a word on top, cut out a couple of holly leaves and a berry, and stamped a quick sentiment. Boom, I had a card. Give this a try. Just start saving a few of your border scraps and cut out extra words when you are using your word dies. And the next time you need a quick card, you'll have everything ready, glue it down, you're good to go. Before I go, I wanted to mention that we also carry card bases and matching envelopes for both the slim and the mini slim size cards. Like all of our cards, these are made from Hammermill 80-pound white cover and they're pre-scored. This particular cardstock is great for colorists who like to work with alcohol markers, colored pencils, and other coloring mediums. That's it for this quick video of tips and tricks today. I hope these projects have inspired you to make a card of your own. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you will be notified when we add new videos. Stay safe and healthy, and thanks for stopping by.